Welcome to the Cinema-Savants Review Show. We've got three people, we've got three movies. Let's just go ahead and talk about them a bit. Lee, heard you finally got around to seeing Ant-Man this week, and not the new one, but we will get to that later. What did you think of the first Ant-Man movie?
It was good.
All right, moving on.
No, listen. I'm playing catch up. I've seen a lot of more recent this year, and really this year, a lot of Marvel films theatrically. But I'm still playing catch up, to be honest, on a lot of the last 10 years of Marvel and unfortunately DC films. So yeah, I hadn't seen Ant-Man, even though I wanted to see it because I like Paul Rudd and I think everything he's done. Is he a great, phenomenal actor? No. I mean, he's not going to win any Oscars for Ant-Man, but he's a good actor, and he's really good in this role, and I think that's, to me, what carries the film. So, I'll let Todd fill in most of the details as far as Ant-Man, because he's going to talk about the new one, which I'm going to actually see later on Sunday. Since you're listening to this on Thursday, possibly, I will have seen it already, but I haven't seen it yet when we're recording this. So, I like the fact that I thought all the actors who played their roles. I thought Evangeline Lilly was good. I thought she was underused in the first one, and she didn't have a lot to work with. I think Michael Douglas is good in it, and I think Paul Rudd is, as I've been told, is the perfect fit for Ant-Man. And so I was excited about seeing it. I do feel like the first half of the film was a little bit of, hey, you don't know anything about this character. We're going to just kind of catch you up slowly and build you into, he has a daughter and he's having issues seeing the daughter because of his past. And he's not really a bad guy, even though he's, been to jail. And this is everything that's going on. And Michael Douglas's character used to be a phenom at this firm that he owns. And now really he's not. And there's new... And I felt like the first half of the film was really like, we're going to catch you up on a story that you don't really need to be caught up on. We just need to entertain you. But I do feel like the second half of the film of Ant-Man got more into, this is an action hero film. And I thought from that point on, it did really, really well. I especially like the scene where Paul Rudd's going in and he's, Michael Douglas has him set up because he really wants him to wear the suit of the Ant-Man. But he has him set up to break into his house and break into the safe. And he ends up doing... pretty cool things I thought they did with the movie, pretty creative things with breaking into the safe. And I think that was the highlight of the film to me, that scene alone. But the movie was good. Was it as good as I hoped? Probably not, but I was still entertained. But I was very satisfied with, again, Paul Rudd being the main character of Ant-Man. And Todd will talk about this in a minute, but I'm very excited more about seeing the second one because the reviews are better, but the people who have seen, especially on Metacritic, for the user scores, seem to like this movie even more. And I also like, just from the previews I've seen, the way they use Evangeline Lilly's character in this movie more as well, because I think he does need like a sidekick. And even though I like Michael Pena and a lot of stuff he does, I don't think he really is a sidekick for Ant-Man in the first one. I don't think he's good enough. I don't think his character is big enough to be the sidekick in the second one. So I'm excited about how they're going to explore the Evangeline Lilly character and that teamwork a little bit more. But overall, I mean, yeah, it's definitely entertaining. It's a Marvel film, so of course it's going to be entertaining. And I think Paul Rudd's great in the role, and I'm excited more about seeing the second one because I think it might be even better than the first one. So they don't spend so much time exploring a character we don't need to explore. We just need to be entertained by from scene one.
So, I'll agree with you. I enjoyed Ant-Man. I thought it was an awful lot of... It was a fun movie, which it didn't have the overlying tension that I think a lot of the other Marvel movies had. It was considerably lighter, which helped. As opposed to the movie I saw this week, which technically is not out yet. I got an advance screening, I suppose, although it's not even coming to a theater. This is actually going straight to video. But it's still worth seeing. It comes from DC, the antithesis of Marvel at this point. Except this is one of the animated ones. But after the last few DC animated features have, let's say they've fallen short of expectations, this gets them back on track. I was curious to know how they would do this movie because technically they've already done it. The first of the DC animated movies was Superman Doomsday, which was a very toned down version of what they did in the comics back in the 90s. But this is, what about this new 2-part version of it? Is it going to be faithful to the retelling of the original Death of series? And the answer is not entirely, but they did it in a good way. They're continuing it with the new 52 version of their DC universe, which they brought about in the Flashpoint movie, and that's a good thing. They seem to be onto something with retelling their stories of their books, and they're doing it right. And if they still have the good cohesive storyline, that'll help. I think the problem they had recently when they tried to do The Killing Joke and Gotham by Gaslight, they're both great stories in the books, but the story wasn't long enough in the books to, make a full-length feature, which is what they're trying to do with these animated movies. So they had to add stuff, and I think that's where it went wrong for them. The original Death of storyline included just about everyone from the DC universe, crossed over just about all the books. And did this movie version? No, it didn't. Of course it couldn't. They haven't even introduced most of them, and they don't need to. The characters they've introduced so far in this animated DC universe were sufficient to get the story across in pretty much the same way without overdosing on characters that didn't need to be there. We didn't need to introduce Justice League International, which was a thing at the time. There were just enough characters to make everything work. We didn't need the Titans. We didn't need multiple Green Lanterns. Just what they had. And it's the Justice League as we know from this universe. And it worked. Finally. So if you want to see a relatively faithful version of the Death of Superman, I'm not sure it's going to be able to ever get much better than this. So DC Animation seems to be back on track and delivering. I'm just hoping that the sequel that's coming this spring, which is The Reign of the Supermen, which is where the Death of Superman storyline went to, keeps up the same quality we've come to know and love from the animated movies. Now, if you want to see this one, it's coming to DVD on August 7th, but if you can't wait, it's actually going to start streaming on July 24th. So, Todd, I know you're interested in seeing this.
Totally, and it's... Wow, that's actually wonderful news that they're back on track.
Back on track. It's back on track.
Division. Yeah, because...
Just stay away from the Harley Quinn Batman movie.
Yeah, and it's like you said, the last few, it's not that they've been bad, it's just they haven't been great. And the animated universe has been great. So that's really good news to hear that.
Absolutely.
Onto Ant-Man, which by the time you hear this, Lee will have loved, because Lee will have seen it already. And I misspoke when I said the Ant-Man movie. This is the Wasp movie, and Ant-Man's almost the sidekick in it, which is wonderful. It's perfect. Because I agree, they didn't really do much, or they didn't do enough with Hope Van Dyne and the Wasp, in the woman who becomes the Wasp, I should say, in the first Ant-Man movie. She's awesome in this. She's awesome as Hope. She's awesome as the Wasp. I mean, her power set is exactly what it's been in the comics. They don't add anything weird. They don't do anything tricky. It's the Wasp. But what a total badass fighter the Wasp is. It's just perfect. Fight scenes she has, the way they're choreographed, they're fantastic. Ant-Man, he's the lead character, and Paul Rudd is excellent, just as you said, Lee. Evangeline Lee is awesome as the Wasp, and it really is her movie. There's more of Michael Douglas, which is great. And of course, they're going to the quantum realm to hopefully rescue the original Wasp. And not going to spoil it for you, but there's a lot of things happening in the quantum realm. One of the things I really like in this film is the character, the villain, Ghost. They've gender swapped to the character, which again, sometimes that gets people is like, I don't really care, because I mean, the Ghost apparently has been around for like 30 years in the Marvel universe. That's cool. I never heard of the Ghost, and it works perfectly because, as one reviewer had said, an underlying theme of this whole thing is fathers and daughters, and a lot of it is Hank Pym and his daughter, and then of course you have Paul Rudd, Ant-Man, Scott Lang and his daughter, and they bring in a third kind of father-daughter pairing in the character of Bill Foster, played by Lawrence Fishburne. That's one of my very few minor complaints of the movie, is I needed more Lawrence Fishburne. He plays Bill Foster.
So you were having a problem with Lawrence Fishburne?
Needed more Lawrence Fishburne.
Okay. Needs more cowbell.
Totally. Because, of course, Fishburne's great, and he's great in this. I just wanted more of him. But, you want to keep it down to like a 2-hour movie, so I get it. But Ghost is a great villain, and actually is maybe not quite a villain as things turn out, as you'll see when you see the film. But this is definitely the movie for the Wasp. And after Infinity War, just like Ant-Man was very light and didn't have the overbearing, the heavy tension of a lot of the Marvel movies, same thing, very light, lots of comedic moments. Paul Rudd, of course, helps that entire environment as the lead, because I'm not saying he's lightweight, but he's great for lighter material. And I mean, he's perfect for this character. And all the characters that you want to see, with the exception of Bill Foster, you get more of them. But since it's the first time Goliath's in the movies, it's like, okay, I can see. I could use a little more, and hopefully he'll be in a follow-up on that. But just a fantastic movie. I liked it even better than the first one. I really liked the first one, and this one is even better. Like a lot of users and critics have said, it's more Ant-Man, much more Wasp, more action, more comedy. They don't have to go through the exposition that they did, and like you said, Lee, they didn't really have to go through so much exposition in the first movie, but they just jump into it. Such a fun movie. And there is a scene, as with any Marvel movie, you do have to stay for the credits. I'll say the very final scene, you don't really have to stay for that one. It's just a fun little teaser. But you definitely want to stay for the first post-credit scene, because it's very important to the movie and very important to the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, do they at the end of the credits mention anywhere with Sex Panther? That's what I want to know. The Sex Panther, the clone. Well, spoiler alert. Sorry. Thanks, Lee.
What?
You've seen Anchorman, right?
Actually, you know what? No.
Anyway,
it's actually funny. It's funny.
It's very funny. It's incredibly stupid, but it's very, very funny. But yeah, The Wasp and Ant-Man, which is what it should be titled. Definitely go see it. It's super awesome, fun, great action sequences. Seriously, one of the fight sequences, which is basically The Wasp and Ghost at this point, one of the best fight sequences I've ever seen. Because the way they use the powers of the two characters is absolutely brilliant. And it also shows just how devastating those powers are if used properly. Because Scott doesn't, and you've seen the previews where he kind of looks at Hank and says, it's like, so you didn't, she has wings and blasters? It's like, wow, I guess you didn't have those. And he goes, no, I had them. And they're just like, yeah, I didn't trust you to use them. It's like, Wasp knows how to use them. Like, holy cow. That's an awesome fight sequence. It's just great. And Michael Pena, yeah, he's not really a big enough character to be like the sidekick for Ant-Man, but I kind of feel like he's the secret weapon of the movie, because, my God, he is so funny. Well, he is hilarious.
And honestly, people who don't know Michael Pena should. But when's the last time you saw him be anything but really good in a film?
Never. You've seen the Ant-Man movie when he has the sequence where he's narrating a story, but everyone is lip syncing for Michael Pena. They do use that device again, and it's even better this time. Awesome. Oh my God, it's hilarious. I mean, so all props to Peyton Reed, the director, because man, what a great movie. This is what movies are supposed to be. Entertaining, and it's absolutely lights out entertaining.
Which is what we need. We need more entertainment, which is why we're doing this show on a Thursday. Okay, let me rephrase that. Which is why we're airing the show on a Thursday, because the weekend is coming. You need something to do. Now you've got movies to see. See? Makes sense, right? Totally. And we'll be back next week with 3 more movies. Or maybe even more. Who knows? We'll see you next week. Or Sunday. Or something. I don't know.